Okay, so let's enter a transaction into Faltour, and in this case it's going to be a sale, and I represent the buyer, which actually is myself and Carla. So this is Faltour. I'm going to log in. And then we go up here to transactions, and then this little button here, add. Okay, so we have two options here. We have to enter the property. So when it says find an existing listing, listings refers to property. I got a feeling this one's not going to show up, but I'm going to try. So I'm going to go into, into my buyers. There it is. Here's the file for it. And I'm going to use the contract of purchase and sale because that'll have the MLS number in it. It's actually already open down here, so I'll just do this. So there's the MLS number 386044. I'm just going to put the city in it. I actually don't know if this is going to make a difference, but I'm going to try this. Okay, so it brought up a property, but that's not the right property. This property is on Maynard, and it's in Victoria. It's not in Comox. All right, so I'm going to create a standalone. So I hope I am. So just take a second. Okay, so it's opened up now, and this is where we start. So we just kind of work along these tabs at the top here. We're back here at transaction. We're going to go profile, just kind of work our way around here. So the status is accepted, because we have an accepted offer. The transaction type, it's a purchase or sale. Now the MLS number, I'm going to put it here, 386044. I'm just going to double check that, make sure I got it right. 386044. Contract number, we don't put anything there. Offer date, that was on Saturday, but I just know that, but we should check it. And the date of the contract is the offer date. It's right up there. The accepted date you're going to find by going to the fourth page, and right here, acceptance number 25, and it's on the same date. Okay, closing date, back to the contract. That's on the second page. You'll get used to this. I mean, I just know where all this stuff is. Forgot the question now. Closing date. So closing completion on the same thing. It's January 4th, 2018. Possession. All right, so this property, there is no possession date because it has a tenant in there. Had there been a date here, you would pick it and put it in there. But for our purposes here, there isn't a date. I don't know, actually, I don't know. It may force me to put a date in there. So if I did, I would just put January 4th. And it's also going to ask me the, well, I think it's going to ask me adjustment date. Maybe I should check that. Maybe it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Possession date. Well, there isn't one. Okay. All right, so let's keep going over here. It's asking for the address, so it's Victoria. Street number is 2581. Back to page 1. Here's the address of the property, 2581 Maynard Street. Postal code V8N. 1K4. Okay, so the listing price, we're going to go back to our file here, and we're going to look for MLS. Open it up. And the original list price is not what we're going to put in there. We're going to put the current list price. So that's the original price, and this was the new one. So it's $894,800. $894. Oops. 800. And the sold price and see, this will be common. You'll see a bunch of this is where all the negotiations takes place here. So 840 was offered, then there was a counter at 870, and the price settled at was 856. And you see it's done numerically and is also written out, 856,000. Okay, commission is paid by seller. That's pretty much always going to be the way. If it was something different, I would tell you, but that's typically the way it goes. Deposit type. I actually don't know if I fill this out yet, because you know what, I'm not actually sure what to do there, but certified check, yeah, I'm not going to fill that in. I'll see it here. I know who it's going to be held by, so back to that sheet, and here's where you find out who's holding the money. Here's the deposit. It's $25,000, and then it's going to be held by Remax Camosun. So this is typically held by the company whom the realtor works for. So in this case, you know, I am the buyer, but if it had been a client, it would still go into our trust at Remax. Back here, so just type here my brokerage, property type. Okay, so this is single family. Oh, I don't know why it's doing this. Okay, I don't think this is all that critical. Let's call it a bungalow. If you don't know what it is, I don't really think it matters all that much, but zoning, we don't care about that. So the PID, we'll need to put that in there. Okay, so I go to a different place for that, different form. You're going to see it, most of the time this has been saved in it, the BCA, which calls for BC assessment. Just going to type on that. And here's the way I do it. I just do a copy and paste here. Okay, copy. So their PID number is like that, and that's what it's asking for. PID. Paste that in there. Legal description. Here's how I do that. I just go over here. I just copy all this. Copy. And then I use just a notepad. And I then eliminate what's not needed. All right. So what I mean by that is plan, and then there's the plan number. Block. Well, it's blank. Lot, so I'm going to take out block. Lot 1, district lot, nothing. Section 44, there's nothing for township, nothing for range, nothing for meridian, but there is for LD, which stands for Lake District. So, and 57. So I'm just going to copy all that. I think this will work. Yeah, just paste it all in there. Listing start date. I don't think we need that. So at least I don't think we do. I'm just going to hit next. Okay, so it's gone to conditions. All right, so conditions are things that the offer is dependent upon. It's the due diligence that the the buyer needs to do. So we're going to add some conditions here, but first, I know what they are, but you need to figure out what they are. So conditions are typically on page 6 of a contract. And here they are. It's usually addendum 2. They can be other places, but this is typically where they are. And if they're crossed out, that means they don't apply. So in this case, it's subject to financing. So buyer financing by December 22nd. We need to remember that date. So I'm going to do add condition. Then I'm going to select condition. And there's sort of a bunch of options here. Financial approval. Here's the way I do it. However, in this case, I tell you what, I'm going to cheat a little bit here, because with financing, there's usually these combinations. So it's easier to do this. So financing and insurance. And let's go back here, check the rest of the... So no property inspection, title, we're good with. But yes, property insurance is one of the conditions. And you'll always find that pretty much these dates are always identical. December 22nd. Okay, and we've also got subject to approving the tenancy agreement. Okay, so, but I'm still going to do what I wanted to do here. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to do financing and insurance. And the due date is the 22nd. Okay. Now, I can set reminders here, and I'd like you to do that. And just set a reminder, and that will give me a reminder. Okay. I'm just going to add another condition. Now, let's see if this one is in here, because the other condition we're looking for, we need to put an input here, is this one. And I don't know if there is one. I'm looking for tenancy or something like that. Subject to court approval. Let's go back up here. Okay, so this, you're going to come across this every once in a while where there's just, it doesn't exist in there. I can't see it if it is there. I'm just going to have one more look through it. It's probably there, and I'm probably going by it, but okay. So I'm just going to say other. And then we can put a description here. Oops. Okay. And that's the 22nd as well. Okay, and let's set a reminder for that too. Okay, so that all looks good. So, for example, let's say that the property disclosure was a condition. Let's go back there. Let's say we're going to add. I'll just show you how this works. We're going to add another one. We would look up. I forgot what it was now. Property disclosure. There it is, PDS. I would be adding that in there, okay? But it's not a condition. So we just got the 3 conditions: financing, insurance, and the tenancy agreement. Okay, so I'm going to go next. Okay, so this is contacts. Now, you may or may not have this information. I do. I happen to have it right now. So and this is each party, buyer and seller, need to be represented by either a lawyer or a notary public. So this is where you find them, and they're pretty much all listed here. So for the buyer, which is us, I know it's Tim Shipley, so let's just type in Shipley. There he goes, populates it there, and you go add. Then you got to complete this. You don't really need to do that, but I'm going to do it. Just go through here. Yes, he's a notary. Which side? So what side means, is he representing the buyer or the seller? And we know, or you could ask this question of me too. If you don't know, you're going to have to send an email and ask me, or Skype me, whatever works best. But he represents the buyer. And I think the rest is good here. Now, in this case, I happen to know, and I don't usually only know this, but I do know that who the lawyer is for the seller, but I have to go check it. So sometimes this information we can input later. We don't actually have to do this right now. It's just I happen to know it. So I'm just going to check my email because that's where it is. Yeah, sure. Let me just search here. Okay, you won't have to go looking around for stuff like this because I would just be emailing it to you. I would forward this to you and say, hey, the seller is being represented by this guy here, Quentin Adrian. So we're going to go back, and I'm just going to type, there he is. Beautiful. I'm going to click add. Oh, I'm doing something wrong here. There we go. And perfect. It all comes in there. I'm not going to worry about the salutation, but he represents the seller. Okay, so that's good. Let's go on the next thing. Okay. All right, so this is where you have to, because I'm inputting it, my information is going to come in here. So we're going to do that first. So here, you're pretty much always going to put fixed amount. So there's a listing side of the commission and there's a selling side. But the way we leave this up to our conveyancing department to put this in, so just change that to fixed amount. Okay, so I am the selling agent. Commission type, again, we're going to go fixed amount. We don't put anything in there. That's so good. Okay, so now we have to add another realtor. So we're going to go back to the contract, and we're going to go to page 4 again. Well, actually, maybe we can go to the top. Nope, sorry. Page 4 always tells you. So the seller is being represented by Gina Sundberg, and the buyer's, well, I'm representing myself. So we're going to type in Gina's name. Back up here, and it should populate. There she is. Hit return. Add. Down here, Gina Sundberg, selling agent. Fixed amount. That's all good. None of this stuff you'd ever have to do, so you just have to do the things I've done there. Okay, so let's click these tabs. We're at agents. Let's go next. Clients. All right, so this is where we add the names of the parties. Okay, so all right, so this gets a little bit, sometimes it makes sense. So we're going to do us first. And so, again, I know it's me, so I'm not going to go back and look at the contract. So we're just going to put Carrie. Let's put Carla's name first, because I think I put her name's first in the contract. Carla and Carrie. Okay, so had there been only one person, we would just, if it was just Carla, we just put Carla. And but that's the way we do it on this. Davies. We are the buyer, no company. So it's a good idea to put phone numbers. So we go back and look. Okay. shutting the door there. A bit of background noise. Okay, so back to forgot what I was looking for. Oh, phones. So we got no phone numbers over here for the sellers, which is not uncommon, but we do have for our side. So I'm going to go back here and put in the number. I don't think you need any spaces. Don't worry about email addresses. Now we got to put the client's address. Canada, British Columbia. Now the buyer always won't be in Victoria, so what you should be doing is going back here and looking in the buyer and see what their address is. So it's 2082 Haltane, Victoria. That's the postal code. So I know what it is, so I'm just going to type it in there, but that's where you're going to, get the information from. Okay, so that's the buyer side. And then we got to add another client. There's always two sides to the party, or to the transaction. So this is going to be the seller. And I'm going to go look up their names again, because I forgot it. Okay, so they're Christopher and Claudia is their first names, and the last name's Farah. Christopher and Claudia. Worry about company. We don't know what their phone number is. We're not going about their email. Okay, so for country, Canada, province, British Columbia. All right, so let's just see what they've got for address over here. Okay, so they've got their address of being in the actual property. So we'll just go with that. That's what they've got listed there. It's the property that actually sold, because quite often this is the real address to the property. So I just something to, and I should back up here a little bit, because I think I was referring to this. This is not always the address of the property that's just been sold. This will always be the address of the property it's sold. This is the address of where the seller lives, which is the same as the property that's sold, but it's not always like that. All right, so Victoria, 2581, Maynard, postal code, I gotta look it up because I can't remember, V8N1K4. Okay, so that looks good. We're finished there. Let's go next. Okay, so task, we don't really add anything here, is my recollection. I'm just going to click on it just to see what comes up here. Yeah, we're not going to. This is kind of more a reminder type of thing, I believe. I don't think we'll be using it. If we do, we'll make a change down the road, but don't worry about it. Okay, and then note. Okay, so this is where we actually put the have to let conveyancing know what the commission is. So it's almost always the same thing, which is 3 and 1.5. So it's pretty much safe to always just put that in there, but I'm going to show you how to check it. So we're going to go over to the MLS sheet. Let's hope I got the right sheet down. And okay, so well, you're going to look for this co-op brokerage fee. That's what that stands for. And it says 3% on the first 100,000, 1.5 from the balance. So you'll see this written different ways, but really what you're looking for is 3% and 1.5%. So if you're not 100% sure, you can double check it here. And if you're still not sure after looking at that, you ask me. Okay, so that should be it. Now I'm going to save it, and if we've made any mistakes, like I normally do, it'll show up. I think it saved it. I think we're okay. I'm just going to go up here. I'm just checking things now, and there it is. So it's all in here. And let's just open it up. Now we're gonna add the documents. Okay, so we've got the transaction in there. Now we're going to actually add the documents. So you can see there's a few steps to this. Get all the basic information in there. Now, I'll just take you back here again. We're going to go, okay, we got in there. Click on here. And then we go over here, documents. Now, this is where we're going to start to add all those documents that you've separated and named. So we go up to this funny little button here and click Add Documents. All right, so first thing you got to do is you got to change this to Hub. If you don't do that, it won't work, but it'll tell you. So it's hard to mess it up. All right, so I'm going to go back to the seller folder, or pardon me, buyer folder. Let's get that right. So it's buyer, Carrie and Carla. I'm going to start adding these documents. So I just kind of go down here, and I know which ones have to be added. If you're not sure, you can refer to it back here, but these are the documents that have to be added. All the ones you saved and separated, those are the ones that will be inputted here. So I'm going to show you something else in a second. Let's just do this. So that's the contract of purchase and sale. It's up here somewhere. Did I go by it? Oh, okay. So there's all different names here. Agreement of purchase and sale. All right. So I'm going to upload that. What's probably really a good idea is when you're splitting and saving the documents, just save them in a separate folder. I've kind of done that here, and then it's just quite a bit easier to go through them. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. But that's probably a really good idea, just to do it, so they're sorted properly. Otherwise, I'm going to do what I'm doing right here. Just going to go through them, because all these documents do not get loaded in there. So this is the disclosure of interest in trade, which is a little bit of an unusual agreement or document. The only time we fill this one in here is this disclosure is when a realtor is buying a property. I gotta find it here. Disclosure. I don't think that's it. I've got to look at the document. No, I clicked on the wrong thing. It's got a number on it. That's why I'm looking at it. Disclosure. I got to read through this. This disclosure here is for developer's disclosure. For, I think it's for commission, but let me just double check it. No, I'm sorry. That is the right one. That's the one I want. Where'd it go? Come back here. That's it. Okay, so upload that. Let's keep going. FinTrack Carla. So that's FinTrack Buyer 1. FinTrack Carry. So that'll be FinTrack Buyer 2. The MLS sheet. MLS listing page. Property disclosure, PDS. Title. And one more, the WWR, which is working with a realtor. Okay. I believe that is it. I'm going to close this. All right, then you'll see all our documents are loaded in here. Now, what happens next is the conveyancing department comes and looks at all these documents. If something's wrong, they send it back to us, and either I fix it or you fix it, depending on what it is. Sometimes I have to fix it. It's just something you know can do. Now, there's other documents, let's go through here, that never have anything to do with us here. That's purely for the conveyance department. This will be a document we put in here, the FinTrack receipt of funds. These are the waivers. So when the financing clause has been met, the insurance clause is met, we'll file a waiver. Remuneration. Don't have to do that in this case. I don't think so. If I have to, but that's typically one that you would put. Pardon me, that you would put in there. I don't know what that waiver is there. Won't worry about that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. But I'm going to show you one other thing here. It's going to go another transaction so that you can tell when conveyancing has gone through and check these. So I'm just going to pick another transaction here. Let's pick this one on Oakdown. And go to Documents. All right. So, as you can see, when you see a check mark here, that means everything is good and perfect. So there's nothing outstanding there. If there'd been like a red cross there, that means there'd be an error, and conveyancing would have told us. So that's it. That's how to enter a sale into Faltour.